Welcome, bitches. This is the With Love Nick podcast. There is nothing off limits here. Oh, get on your power panties. Shit, I always say that. How are we always aligned? You did not. Of course you did. Of fucking course you did. Success happens on the other side of conventional thinking. I say this all the time because when I was conventionally thinking, it left me burnt out and drunk. Welcome to this week's episode of the With Love Nick podcast. There we go. We found it. Okay. Welcome to this week's episode of With Love Nick. I am your host, Nick BG. It's been a couple of weeks. I had to get my shit together before I pressed record again. So here we are. And with the lovely Jillian, Phyllis, I'm so excited to have you. Like, what an exciting conversation this is going to be to come back into the podcast with. So, hi.
Hi, my love.
We literally live like 5 minutes away from each other and realized we could have done this in person.
Should have done this in person.
As
We
soon
will
as
do this in person.
We will do this in person on the next episode of With Love
Yeah.
Nick. Okay, bye. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so the last time we talked, both of us were kind of pivoting. So,
Yes.
like, fill me in on everything, first of all, that's going on in your world, going on in your business. Like, who is Jill today? And
Yeah.
what the fuck, girl, are you working on right now?
So, for those of you who don't know me, everything that I do is based on like that inherent connection within to our cycles. And ultimately, what that means for me is everything from our period cycles to the cycles of the seasons to our cycles of life. So I checked out for a little bit, being very real, because I had my little baby, my second baby. And I was very much in that space of needing to like realign and focus on what matters to me, not only what I was just really good at, because there is that beautiful blend of both things. So fast forward now, I am obsessed that we're actually recording this on the first day of spring because everything in my life has been hold until this beautiful day comes up. Because for me, this has always been the new year. So this year I have an insane line of offers coming up, but everything that I'm doing is really focused on the woman being really unapologetic in everything that she is, everything that she wants to be, and everything that she does. And this concept of coming back to who you are, and in the process of coming back to who you are, really getting rid of every single thing that doesn't play in the rules that you're making for yourself. So if we're throwing out rules, that's great. But I think we can also just kind of like make our own rules for how we work as individuals.
Did you hear
And
that, everyone? Every fucking thing that isn't serving you. Okay.
everything, literally everything, because it doesn't work. So everything that's coming up, I'm talking about like sacred union and having wild, intimate, spiritual sex with your partner, to how to like move and sink into your womb space so that you are healed and like empowered in what you do, to rituals that you can do throughout the entire year to bring in wealth in your business or whatever it may be. But it's like everything woo woo witchy and wild. That's
Woo,
not
witchy, and wild.
woo
Woo,
witchy and
witchy, and
wild. That's how I
wild.
describe myself. Yes. Yeah. That's what this year has to offer.
The three dubs. Okay.
Yes.
So I love this conversation. And in the last week, I have had so many conversations about coming home to yourself and how important it is.
Yeah.
I feel like we are in a huge pivotal season in our industry where women are truly desiring to heal, connect, and come back home to themselves, whatever context, whatever capacity that means for them. And so I think that this work that you're about to do, and I mean, not even about to do, but just kind of like replenish and refine and like re-put out there right now in this moment is like the most important work. And I'm so excited to kind of dig deeper into like how odd and scary it must have felt to like take a break from that and really allow yourself to set boundaries on why you wanted to wait, when you wanted to reveal this like part of
Yeah.
your work, when you wanted to reveal it, and like what kind of feelings did you move through? Because I know that a lot of my listeners are going to want to know like who are you when you're leading yourself through this like kind of long void of space that's not being filled with anything? Like you're not working, you're not launching anything, you're not doing anything. So it's like, what do we do so that we don't fill the void with a bunch of like crazy, chaotic, busy work?
Not only crazy, chaotic, busy work, but also really shitty, unaligned clients.
Mm,
Because I want to like actually bring that up because I am not and have not and can't pretend to have been the woman who stepped away to make sure she could take of her child, but was sitting on massive wealth because I wasn't. And I'm not going to pretend that. I went into it's funny because if you would have looked at my Instagram bio, before I got pregnant, I called myself a wealth activator. And that is still true. Even to this day, when clients come into my space, they make radical money through the healing work that we do, the like ritual and sacred work that we do, and then really figuring out again who they are. But I unexpectedly got pregnant. This was not one of those like, hey, this is planned and I'm going to get this great nest egg up. I was in the heart of well, actually, I went full time in my coaching business after I learned I was pregnant.
mhm,
And then really quickly thereafter, figured out that what was true for me was to come back home. I'm like a Cancer sun. So it was like come back home to that nurturing of this baby and taking the time to do so. So it was really fucking hard because I we learn all the time. And I'm going to be honest, you are probably the best person out there who is like, I can't even say, I don't know if you're naturally good at it, but you have talked about making a habit to show up every day. You talk about when you wake up, you have your 15 minutes, you do your social post, right? Like I've seen your content about that being a non negotiable for you. And I think that's really powerful. And it's obviously worked for you because look at the success that you've had. For me and my life goals and the things I had to focus on, it wasn't that. I couldn't show up online the way that I wanted to be giving people value because I had to turn back in to home, my home with my family, but also
mhm.
internally with me because everything I've developed now over these last like 6 months is unlike anything I've seen out there. Like
Yeah.
I'm integrating astrology in business charts, which very few people in the world are certified to do, to be able to say, okay, this is what's moving and this is why. But now let's actually move through a complete witchy ritual for you to figure
Mm,
out how to align this and call in what you want. But I would have never been able to create this art that I don't even know what to call yet if I wouldn't have come home and figured out how to do it on my own. And I
yeah.
wouldn't have even created space to like not focus on that next post or that next offer, that next thing, if I wouldn't have shut all of it out. So I know that it's not feasible for some, or like in other ways, it sounds like the craziest thing that someone would do. But I think for me, don't even know if I chose it as much as I felt like it was my only option. Like my soul was like, this is the only thing we
Mhm.
could do. And now looking back and seeing how it's all unfolded, it's made so much sense. Like
Yeah.
I'm actually shaking about how excited I am about all to come, but I would have truly, I don't know how I would have gotten there if I wasn't spending my days like
Yeah.
lighting candles at midnight when the baby got up. Like I don't know how else I would have been able to do it.
What's your human design?
I don't even know.
Oh my
I
gosh.
don't know.
I
It's like
definitely
the
thought
one
that you knew.
modality I've
Okay.
never touched on.
Okay. So I'm a generator and I want to touch on
I'm
when
a
you
generator.
said, that you have your habits of showing up and, bringing value and all of this stuff. And I really, really love the contrast between the like the value part of it, right? Where you had to lean back and really come home to yourself. And for me, as an ADHD generator, me coming home to myself is really sharing my truth and value. But my value truly is like my journey in whatever that looks like right now, being truly authentic to that, whether it's bad, whether it's good, whether I'm failing, whether I'm succeeding, whether I'm, my head's buried in my husband's lap and I'm crying, like me talking about that and still showing up with that, that to me is value. So when you're talking about coming home to yourself, me really coming home to myself and really truly understanding that my journey is valuable to somebody, regardless of whether it gives you actionable steps or it empowers you to take action or it just helps you understand that life isn't perfect or it triggers the fuck out of you, right?
Yeah.
Anything that I come forward with showing up for my business every day is a non-negotiable, but I'm also an ADHD generator. So that is how I exhaust my energy. However, it's like I will show up good or bad because I know that value doesn't always have to bring something positive.
Yeah.
Value can be showing the negative. Value can be showing the vulnerable. So I love the contrast in this because for you, it was stepping back to come home to yourself. And for
Mhm.
me, it was really leaning into showing up no matter what. And that's how I came
Yep.
home to myself. So the reason why I asked what your human design was is because
It's a generator. Now that you said the word generator, it's a generator.
okay, I'm like, that's even more contrast because we're both
Yeah.
generators and we operate
Yeah.
at completely different frequencies. And so that was really interesting to me. So I love that you brought that. I love the contrast there. And I love having the contrasted conversations about this too, because I think so many people, they will be quick to go, okay, well, you're a generator and I'm a projector. And so I can't keep up. Like I can't go, 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 go. Right. And it's like, that's very assumptive to like slap a label on something and think that we
Very.
just have to operate at this capacity to like fulfill our label, right? Like I must keep, you know what I mean? So I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, you're a generator, people who are listening. Jill is a generator and operates at a completely different frequency than I do. So it's like possible to
Mhm.
not just do what everybody's doing because they're a generator and say that you have to operate that way and just fucking listen to your body and do what you desire to do.
I think that's it. It's like whether it doesn't really matter what we're looking at. Like if it's human design, if it's like I am literally an astrologist and like I do astrology all the time. Like whether you're looking at that and you're like, okay, well, I'm a Cancer, Sun, Aries, Moon, Scorpio rising. So that means I'm in depth, but fiery, but oh, I love my kid. Like, great. But like, if we look at this a little bit different, I think I think all of these modalities are so beautiful. It is literally my life's work. So I'm not dogging on the modalities, but I do think that there is this almost prescriptive mentality where the same thing we're doing in this industry, like those of us who are really dedicated to creating and making this industry something special, something out of integrity, something that is aligned and impactful.
Mm.
We have all of these things and we get rid of all the labels and all of the ways people used to do things, right? In quotes, like the 9 to 5 corporate burnout. And then we come in and holy shit, do a lot of us just put a whole other set of rules on whatever this means? And I think there's something that we can do when we look at people who live a life that we think that we want and we can be inspired by it. But you said it perfect. You're like, but listen to your body. Like free will isn't just taken out of the picture. Our own strategic brain or our heart or our passions or whatever desires we have. If I'm trying to
Mm.
get somewhere, I don't have to say that everything is hard, grueling work where you're putting in all the hours. But I also am not going to deny and say, being a law of attraction and manifestation coach, like, think it into existence, but don't do shit. Like, that actually really bothers me. You're going to see results when you are dedicated to showing up. I think it's why I've also been excited about this day because I said the same thing to me. I was like, okay, like Nick is here and she shows up every day. And now I'm going to also, after I give myself the time to just be first.
Yeah.
But yeah, these labels, these things, they help us and they should help us be aware of who we are and what feels good and how we operate. But if we use it as a veil or mask or prescription for now how we have to be or we're not,
Or it becomes our
like that,
identity, right?
yeah,
It's like
that's it.
what we
That's it.
identify as. It's like we're then it's like, oh, okay, well, I'm a generator. So
Right.
that's my identity now. It's like how fucking limiting that we all of a sudden stuff ourselves in this little box. We're like stuff in this little box and we're like trying to be different. It's like, oh, I want to be a trailblazer, but I'm going to stuff myself in a fucking box.
Which is
And I
exactly, again, what most of us worked our asses off to
right,
leave.
right, exactly. And I think that it's so interesting because so many people are either focused on being completely different from everybody else or
Yeah.
doing exactly what everybody else is doing, trying to get this surface level of success that they see because they didn't see the BTS of it. You know what I mean? And it's like instead, goodbye, goodbye. Like we are allowed to lean into mentorship and learn the codes from somebody who has been where we desire to go from a different lens, right? From a different perspective. But it's like when it comes to the strategy and the framework and getting the nitty gritty and getting down in the dirt, It's like we have to put our blinders on for that. We have to just do what we desire to do because at the end of the day, nobody's strategy is going to be more potent than the strategy based on everything that we already have available to us. And
Yep.
so when we do stick those labels on us, like I'm so grateful that I learned that I am a sacral generator.
Yep.
I'm a 5-1 sacral generator. And that really gave me closure on the things that I used to slap onto like my little name tags, right? I'm impulsive, I'm manic, I am a psychopath, I'm too emotional, I'm not emotional enough, I'm too much, I'm not enough, I'm all of these things. And now it's like, that's why I did that. You know what I mean? And there was like so much clarity in that. And I got closure on what I used to use to identify myself as. And now it's just, I get to be whatever the fuck I feel like being or whoever the
Yep.
fuck I feel like being that day,
Every day.
every single
Literally
day.
every day,
And
every
like,
minute of every day.
what a privilege to be
Yeah.
able to serve myself that way, right? It's like we get to wake up every single day and do whatever we desire to do, and it doesn't ever have to look the same. And that's why I've never understood the obsession over I have to get this many sales or I have to get this by this date. And it's like, why would you not want to wake up every single day and know that anything is possible? Why put those limitations on ourselves, right? So I would love for you to speak on like the work that you do
Mhm.
and how that transpires in people's lives who may feel stuck in maybe like a mid identity shift or like a mid, I don't know, fucking life crisis or
Yeah.
really stuck on letting their identities just like cloud every part of their vision and not able to really serve themselves from like a true authentic place.
Yeah, I mean, so let's backtrack. So I came from the tech space. I still am in it. It's interesting opportunities that tend to land in my lap from the startup tech space and doing consultative work there. And for a while, where we've talked about when you try to shift, it was interesting for me because I kept feeling like I had to let that all go to then be this healer online coach. It was like I because it's what everyone says, right? Again, you have to leave behind all of that so you can embrace this. And like if you're not letting go, then you're just holding on and whatever. So I spent all this time trying to deny actually that part of life that I'm very, very, very good at. And every time I thought I was like, okay, I'm done, this perfect opportunity would line up that I would get to serve hundreds of thousands of people because of an application that I was going to work in that shifted lives of special education or shifted lives of this cause or that cause or whatever it is. So part of it, I think, is I can talk about it openly and freely and passionately now because I've already led myself through it. But when we say let go of everything that isn't serving you, let's make sure we actually are grateful and take note of the things that are. Because
Yes.
again, we don't this obsession, I guess like our part of our theme of this whole podcast that we didn't even know about. It's like putting ourselves in these boxes or labels like it is this human psyche obsession to do that. And so I thought in order for me to be like a womb witch who helps women get pregnant all day every day, who helps women find intimacy and like full body orgasms with their partner and then also lights a ritual afterward like can't also be like the badass bee who's getting $100 million round of investment in a startup company
Mhm.
because it doesn't really exist. You don't hear about that. So I told myself that you can't be both. But I think the first step of that is like when I say F the rules, it literally means all of them, not the ones that serve you and don't serve you or you think you have to fit into because you're shifting now to a different level of your life. It's like, no, I actually mean every single one. Like true blank slate. If you look at a world you get to create, like you said, every day when you wake up, if nothing is there, what is guiding you? What is leading you? And I love that you're a sacral generator because my biggest passion that led me here was all in womb work. It was the only modality I almost quit learning. I learned Akashic Records. Like I said, I was doing everything manifestation, flower healing. I am very good at psychic channeling. And then all of a sudden I had to go down into my womb and I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, this is hard. This, I remember my very first healing. We were meeting our inner, like our ancient ancestor, our first ancestor, the first woman. And me being me, I was like, oh, I'm gonna find this like ancient Egyptian goddess. And it was a fucking rock, a rock, a rock. I'm like, I work with all of these things and I go into this meditation and I find a rock. And I was really weirdly annoyed. Like when I'm being very honest, like I was annoyed by that. I was like, how do I do all of this spiritual work? I channel all day long and I go and I'm trying to find this beautiful gift from my ancient ancestor. And I find this rock that won't really even talk to me. And when now I've done all of the work that I've done in the womb, and that means for anyone that is having quote unquote womb issues or not, or is excited by the creativity in her womb or not. Like all of us as people with wombs have a womb that gives us power. And when I started going deep within me and listening to things inside of me instead of things I was channeling out here, I had a very
Mm,
big life shift. And me being in the psychic world, I've always been excited about divine intervention and divine messages, and it is still a part of my everyday life, but
mm,
I can't bypass what my inner wisdom knows. And for me, that was my biggest shift. And leading women in that work has been where they find their true power because they're not displacing problems with their partners or problems in their careers or whatever to something different that they have to go find. They
mm.
just have to allow themselves to go like really deep within and stop ignoring the power that is sitting within them.
Yeah.
And that was, is it too big to say life changing for me? I think it was actually life changing for me.
I
And
know
it's been
I can
now,
tell in your
yeah,
face that the
yeah.
emotion behind that. I can tell. Yeah. That's really big. Like that's so huge. And I think that, I mean, I know from my own personal experience that when we take this like self-exploration journey, it's like, the human in us, when something doesn't click right away or we don't find what we're looking for right away, like the self-exploration takes practice. It's not like you're just like, okay, I'm going to do this inner work and here's my first meditation and I've got it. I found everything. I found the answers. It's a fucking journey, right? And so I think that a lot of people give up so quickly. But when you truly find what works for you and being able to tap into that power every single day, like there is nothing that
Right,
tops that. And
right.
it trickles into every other part of our being. And I remember posting about this. It's funny when we always go back to post. I remember posting this on like December 18th of 2023, but it was like I talked about really getting deep into my self-exploration journey last year. And I had this ego death having the best sex of my life.
Mhm.
Right. And I had never experienced anything like that. And I was like, I'm fucking anchoring in this in. I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to post about this and all of this stuff. And it's like, from that point on, do I want to say this on my podcast? From that point on, I like cannot even control when I orgasm during sex now. It's insane. And so it's like when we tap into these things, it's like it comes effortlessly then, right? But so many people give up before they get into that depth of the self-exploration journey. I want to go so deep into this like chat, but I'm like, my parents listen to this.
Oh, okay. I have to though. I have to comment on this part
Okay,
because
let's go.
part of the reason why I started into learning Tantra and everything that I do in terms of sex was because I kept hearing messages from within me that told me my financial abundance would only increase to the state in which I could increase in receiving pleasure. Like saying that again in a different way. Essentially, I would make more money the more that I would be able to allow myself to orgasm. So, talking about this, right? I'm like, okay,
Whew.
I've been gone. I've been off the proverbial coaching market for some time. I think I sent out like 5 emails since the beginning of this calendar year. I have made more money in these last however many days that is. What is that? Like 89 or something. Great. Than I did in probably the 6 months prior to that. You know what I did different? Because I haven't been posting, as you know, like people haven't seen things, but I really loved my sex life a lot and I got really intimate with it. I figured out everything from like breast orgasms to full body orgasms to sexual orgasms with your partner and not in all of these things. And weirdly enough, you do vibrate at a frequency of joy. And I have always been like a people pleaser and a perfectionist. And that's really good for some things, but I never spent enough time focusing on receiving joy, even if we take sex
Mm.
out of the picture. Receiving joy. I would do crazy things in my life and in this world, successful things, and I'd be right on to the next one because I was in this cycle of just being successful. You like it's just a way of life. You just keep doing it, right? By me slowing down and focusing on my body and all of the ways that I could increase joy simply with what I have within me and a partner, a lot shifted outside. Like a lot of things shifted around me. And I firmly believe it's because I showed up to the universe saying, like, it's joy and pleasure or nothing at all. Like,
Mm.
give me those big, powerful things. And I know I can already move through the challenges. Like, I don't need hard lessons anymore. I've done them all. Like, I'm good. Teach me lessons, but let's do it in ease and joy. And
You're like,
it's like
teach
shift.
me lessons.
It's like, yeah, like, let's talk
Shackle
about
me,
it.
daddy.
It is, right. And take me, right, exactly. As many times as you want, like bring
I
it
like did not expect this conversation. I'm like so lit up right now.
me too. Because I'm telling you, like, I swear it's part of that same good girl bullshit that a lot of us were raised on or society taught us. But damn, it's just different. It is different when you allow yourself to just be wild and be in joy.
You know, this
So
was such an
simple.
interesting conversation. I'm like, we're gonna go past the time because I just want to keep talking about this. But I feel like so many people, and I talk to this with my clients. I talk to this topic a lot with my clients because we have been conditioned and taught to speak with our solutions and what we have mastered to people's pain
Yeah.
when we are beings of pleasure and we are beings of desire. And so when I really started doing my business for me first, my business from a place of desire, and taking what I have mastered in my life and where people desire to be, the codes that I have from the journey that I've taken, and speaking to people's desires, it's like the entire container is based around like we are made for pleasure, right? The simplest things like people tickling the your forearm or
Yep.
rubbing your back or taste, orgasm. Like people want to say that breasts aren't sexual. You pinch my nipple, my clit's tingling. You know what I mean?
The
Like
clit says it's sexual, okay?
right? And it's like
For real.
also, though, my client said I have to make a shirt like that because I always say like, but though, also though. Okay, ADHD, here we go. So when I started really leveraging everything that I was doing in my business, marketing wise, from a place of desire to a place of desire, that leaked into my personal life.
Mhm.
And when it leaked into my personal life, that re-leaked into my business. So it's like when you're talking about like listening to your body and doing things for you first and really paying attention to that and giving yourself pleasure and joy and all of these things, how the fuck are we able to serve people at our best, our true, raw, authentic self without consistently killing our ego through joy and pleasure? How the fuck are we supposed to do that as mentors? The
I
people
know.
who do not practice that, in my opinion, are doing a disservice,
I
right? When
agree.
they're speaking from bro marketing or only a place of like, well, this is how you get sales. This is how you can get more sales. This is how you can get more sales. It's like making a mockery of mentorship. This is not what mentorship is all about, right?
Absolutely agree.
If you want to be a marketing firm and you want to be a marketing coach and you want to be a sales coach, cool. But a mentorship container is completely different. And I truly do believe that when we tap into our desires first, we are then able to serve people's desires with our solutions and codes at a
Mhm.
higher frequency and a better capacity. And so I love this conversation because I don't feel like it's had enough.
Nope.
I don't feel like it's had enough. I do feel like it's being had more in our
Yeah.
industry as people are really, like I said at the beginning, desiring to connect and heal and really build a sustainable business that's fueled by passion and not hustle. Because we also have to remember that we can build a business very fast monetarily, but it's only going to be sustainable with what you fueled with it in the first place, right? So it's like people are recognizing that and they want to build a sustainable business and a sustainable fucking life for that matter, sustainable
Yeah.
relationships, sustainable everything in every facet of their life. And like that is only going to be sustainable and fulfilling if we do it from a place of desire first.
Yeah.
And so I feel like this conversation was just perfect. I didn't actually anticipate this type of conversation, but like this is lighting me right the fuck up. Like,
And I think part of it is like getting really real with yourself as a coach. Like I putting every single one of you, because I did this with myself. Like when we all say the reason that we want to be a coach, like what are they really? What are they really? What really guides you? And if it is simply that you want to live a life of ease and make quick and fast money, then I want you to really consider if you are a coach or if you are, just like you said, a sales or marketer. Like I don't know. I mean, it's a hard question to probably have to look at look at yourself in the mirror and ask. But I know for me, I get emotional, really emotional about women who go and sell and don't service their contracts, or coaches who go and promise things. And I know women are behind the scenes getting their last loan or their last bit of money on a credit card or whatever it is. I'm not opposed to that investment. What I'm opposed to is the coach that's on the receiving end of it, taking it, running with it, and barely servicing it, if you can even
mm,
call it that, because that's not, at the end of the day, they didn't care about the impact. They
the
didn't care
quality
about the
assurance
lives
is gone.
changed.
Yeah,
Exactly. Because at the end of the day, they're a salesperson and a marketer. They weren't a mentor. They weren't a coach. They weren't a guide,
mm,
a leader, a handholder, a cheerleader, I'm going to tell you when you're wrong, or like whatever that is. They weren't that. They didn't hold themselves to the responsibility of that wealth, of that contract, of
absolutely.
that person. They held themselves to the excitement of the income in their bank account.
Yeah.
And that's fine if that's what you're going after. But let's like all as an industry, all the people that we are in this space, like let's all hold ourselves and others to a little bit more accountability in making sure that like we don't do that out of deceit and shit.
Well, and a higher standard,
Yeah.
right? It's like
Yeah.
I have moved forward in my business and I don't even use the word coach anymore because
Yeah.
I'm personally not here to coach you. I
Right.
am here to mentor you because what I have to offer you is bigger than a how-to or a framework or a simple,
Yeah.
okay, here's your masterclass, now go implement it and have a good day. I no longer desire to serve from that space, right? So it's like when I truly think of mentorship, it's like if somebody comes to me and says, okay, what can I get from you? Or I paid you to do this. I have no interest in entertaining that mindset or that idea that you feel like you can come to me in survival mode and expect me to fix your fucking problems, which is
Yeah.
why I don't speak to pain points anymore, which is why I don't say, I have a solution to your problem, which is why I won't point out a tangible result because my mentorship space is so much more than that.
Yep.
And it was devastating. The whole reason I trashed my business in 2022 to begin with is because all these COVID coaches, bless their hearts, came forward and just made a mockery of the industry and what
Yeah.
it's supposed to be. And now we are all healing from that.
I agree.
And I I feel like the work that you do is so important. And so I really encourage you to like bring that forward because more and more women, and I know this firsthand because I work very closely with several clients that just desire to go even deeper
Yeah.
into the services that you bring.
Yeah.
um a lot of people will say that they do that work, right? But are
Yeah.
they truly invested in evolving as that type of worker too? It's like, okay, so you took a human design course. It's like, okay, you took an astrology course. But like the woman who is ever evolving and their life revolves around this work, that's a true mentor. My life revolves around my work, right?
Yeah.
It's like I don't have a shut off button. Am I
Yeah.
always working? Absolutely not. Are my gears always turning when it comes to my
Yes.
work? Abso-fucking-lutely.
Yeah.
I dream
Yeah.
about my work, right? It's like a lot of people ask me where the stag and the snake came from. And I was like, I don't fucking know. I dreamt about it one day and then I just started incorporating it. You know what I mean? It's like
Bro, I
this
get
is
it.
this is my life.
My last dream literally told me, you're getting your period tomorrow. The first one I had out of all of my, haven't had a period in 10 months because I had my baby breastfeeding. Thank you. Next, sure shit, the next day, got my period. Like, I'm with you. My womb is literally like, hi babe, got a couple reminders for you. Like, because
It's so crazy.
it is you. It is you. It is me. It is not, in my not so like, in a very direct opinion, it is not part of the lives of some others. And that is not to bring down the entire coaching industry. It is actually me asking the people who have gotten those contracts, who have brought in clients, to lead themselves through change and holding integrity and in doing the work. Because when they
Mm.
do, they will have the opportunity to bring the people with them that they have already brought into their space. But hey, let's bring as much impact and meaning as we can. Like, why
Well,
not?
everybody wants to be a trailblazer. Everybody wants to create a ripple effect, but we can't do that when the quality assurance is gone.
Like you said, it's like the secret codes. When
Mhm.
they have figured those out for themselves and they are truly leading, please let's get more of those people. Let's
Yeah.
get more of those people who can teach thousands, and then those thousands can work with like, and that's actual movements. I was talking with a client of mine today, and I had said to her, like, she was scaling up in her services and some of the things she was doing. And I was talking to her as I was training her in some of this womb work, and she was so terrified of kind of shifting into higher monetary levels, aka prices,
Mhm.
because of who she would have to release. And first of all, again, you make your own rules. You can have offerings that make your work accessible in certain ways to people.
Mhm.
But why do we associate high level mentorship in that way with letting people go? Instead, you find that each person you bring into your space in that way gets to work with X amount of people under them and X amount of people under them. It's like, I can't believe I'm saying this. It's literally like MLM marketing gone right. It's like you are actually giving people knowledge and information and healing attunements and codes where they can give people more, and those people can give people more, even if they're not doing it in a business framework. In our families, I know every single hard healing that I led myself through made me a compoundedly better person. That's not a word, but a better person to
Mhm.
my man, to my kids, to my parents, to my friends. When I healed the sister wound within me and looked at my own feelings between women and a lot of harder relationships I've had in the past, like now I show up in a completely different energetic frequency to be a good ass woman back. Like all of those things ripple affect the world, even if it's outside of our coaching space.
Mhm.
So even when you were calling that and you were calling out that, there are women wanting to do deeper work, I've had CEOs in the corporate space that I've been working with because they too want that. And I think there's something so beautiful. I know we see the dark of it, but there's so much light in leaders in a lot of different spaces being called to go deeper because they are like, that inner peace within them is telling them it's time.
Yeah.
And I find that like really moving.
Yeah. I love that. Well, we're definitely going to have to do an episode 2 because I feel like we could have this conversation forever.
Yeah, I'm in. I'm game. I'll come
Perfect.
over.
We'll do it in perfect. We'll do it in person.
We'll do a
It's
ritual
like getting
first.
late here. I'm getting a little delusional. No, I'm just kidding. We'll do it in person next time. So I want to know, as I'm sure my listeners want to know, where we can find you on Instagram, on Facebook, on TikTok, on YouTube, wherever you are.
Yep. Yes. Witch.of.the.womb. Witch of the womb on Instagram, and on TikTok and on Facebook. Um, and when you go and see that I haven't posted in a while, uh, I don't know.
What is that? Oh, it's not going to do it anymore now.
No, it's not. But yes, go find me. I'm going to be back and at it tomorrow, and I'm so excited to be back. I'm so excited to be in service to other women in much larger ways now that my family's where that service like needed to be first for me. So
I love
I love
that.
you. Thank
Well,
you for having me on here. I
I
respect
love
you.
you too. I cannot wait to watch you just come back into your full power. It's going to be really exciting. I've been waiting patiently. I've been waiting patiently for you to come back. Hello. I've
So
been checking
sweet.
out your
I
profile and I'm
love
like,
it.
where is she? She's not even over on this profile
I feel
anymore.
like it's some of that like femme fatale. It's like I'm just doing mysterious things behind the scenes. Like I will be here. I
I
will
know
be.
not many things pique my curiosity these days, but you, Miss Phyllis.
Oh, that makes me feel so good. Thank you, Lovey.
Well, thank you for joining me. I will see everyone on the next episode of With Love, Nick. And thank you, Jill, for being here on my first episode back after a few weeks of being away. And I will talk to you all soon.